How's it going, everyone? It's Harvey from WeatherSpawn1000, and in this video, we're going to talk more about this next Midwest and Northeast blizzard and determine which areas could receive the heaviest snowfall and determine if the major cities along the Northeast coast could experience extremely heavy snowfall associated with this snowstorm. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more while they call it. So I'm sure you guys have seen the shifts in the computer models when it comes to this next blizzard in the Midwest and Northeast, and while for the most part the forecast has remained the same for the Midwest, where it's pretty much inevitable at this point you will experience heavy snowfall, for the Northeast, however, we have seen a shift where now it's being more so a rain event up along the major cities along the coast, such as Boston, New York City, but we still do see some snow right around the metropolitan area of New York City, as the snow does come uncomfortably close to the major cities along the Northeast. And you're probably wondering, why has that shift occur? Well, it seems like the GFS model is forecasting more of a jet stream dip, and what that means is that since there's a more significant jet stream dip, there's more of a southerly wind right along the eastern portion of this low pressure system that's going to steer this low pressure system further northward a lot quicker than, let's say, if the jet stream was just a little bit more straightened out, to the point where it's going to steer, of course, that warm air associated with the low pressure system further northward, to a point where mostly the coastal cities would experience a little bit more rain than, of course, the previous ones we saw yesterday, where we saw a full-fledged major snowstorm right up along the bigger cities of the East Coast, such as New York City and Philadelphia. But now there's a little bit more rain. But I want to emphasize that the forecast is still far from certain at this point, because by the time this low pressure system reaches the Northeast, it's around the Friday time frame. So we still got 4 or 5 days to really iron out this forecast for the Northeast. So don't take this forecast as if you're definitely gonna only experience a rain event for the major cities, because I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to see several shifts in the forecast where it brings more snow to the major cities up along the East Coast, or potentially even less snow to where it's entirely a rain event. We're just gonna need to wait and see how the jet stream positions itself as we approach the weekend's time period. The several factors that we're gonna need to take a look at is, of course, this jet stream dip, because if this jet stream dip is more significant than what the computer models anticipate, then that would develop this low pressure system a little bit earlier, thanks to the enhanced amount of instability that's induced by a more significant jet stream dip. And not only that, it would steer the low pressure system further northward a lot quicker than, let's say, if the jet stream was a little bit more straightened out, which would mean that the low pressure system would move northward a little bit further westward, to where more of the southerly wind component would impact the cities right up along the immediate coast, which would make it more of a rain event. But if we were to see this jet stream straighten out, that would steer the storm a little bit further westward eastward rather than northward, which would allow the East Coast to experience more of the backside of this low pressure system, which of course would be the cooler side, thanks to how strong the northerly winds will be associated with this low pressure system. It's gonna be the same one that's gonna bring near blizzard conditions right around the Dakotas, where blizzard warnings are now in effect for portions of the northern Midwest. And so we're going to see strong northerly winds on the western side of this low pressure system, and that would, of course, create more likely of a chance of a snow event right along the East Coast cities, since you're going to experience a back and western side of this low pressure system. So depending on how significant this jet stream dip will be, will determine if you experience heavy snow along the bigger cities up along the East Coast, or more of a rain event. As of right now, it seems like the computer models are leaning to bringing the heaviest snow towards the interior Northeast, but we do see many areas of the interior Northeast experience over a foot of snow in this scenario. And even though in New York City you're experiencing a little bit more rain, you're still very close to the heavy snowfall. If I were to show you guys the forecasted snowfall based on what the GFS model is stating, you're going to see that, of course, right around the Midwest, the GFS model is expecting a large area of over a foot of snow, and we could see some areas experience over 2 feet of snow, and that's most likely right around the Dakotas, where 30 inches is certainly not out of the realm of possibilities. And you see, just to the north of Minneapolis, you could experience over a foot of snow. But taking a look at the Northeast, we do see that New York City is right at the border between experiencing 6 to 12 inches of snow to no snow at all. And Connecticut gets involved as well. Hartford isn't very far from experiencing 6 to 12 inches. Boston is still relatively far, but again, there's still 4 to 5 days to really iron out the forecast. But we do see much of the interior Northeast and northwestern New Jersey experiences close to, if not over, a foot of snow, especially in the higher elevations of northern New Jersey. And we see a large area right around upstate New York and the Pocono Mountains experience over a foot of snow. Taking a look at what the European model is forecasting when it comes to snowfall, we do see that, of course, the European model is also expecting an extreme snowstorm for the Midwest, an extreme blizzard. Blizzard conditions are likely. You need to prepare for that possibility. The certainty is high at this point. In the areas further southward, such as Des Moines, you could maybe experience right around 1 to 3 inches, but of course, the heaviest snow will be right around Minneapolis, a large portion of Minnesota, the Dakotas, and even the northwestern portion of Nebraska. And taking a look at the Northeast, we do see that much of the heavy snow is also locked further northward, right around the upstate New York area, where a large area experiences over a foot of snow, as well as New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine. But the European model also agrees that the bigger cities aren't experiencing much of any snow at all. New York City in this scenario is only experiencing maybe around an inch of snow, but that's about it, maybe a dusting. And same goes for Boston, and Philadelphia isn't experiencing anything in the European model scenario. So for those who don't like the snow, it might be best to hope for this forecast, but there's still definitely a chance that we could see the forecast shift to where it brings the snow further southeastward to bring more snow to the bigger cities. So I'll keep you guys updated over the next several days. We're also going to need to pay close attention to how much cold air will be locked in place as the slow pressure system heads towards the northeast, because what's going to steer the cold air southward is this trough that's going to be centered right around eastern Canada. If I were to continue to move forward, we see some of this trough bringing some snow to eastern Canada, and it's bringing a decently strong northerly flow, which is bringing temperatures below average for much of the week in the Northeast. And depending on how strong the winds will be over the next several days will be a key determinant in determining how much cold air will be locked in place to really determine if this area of snow will be more widespread or mainly just impacting the higher elevations of the interior Northeast. That still has yet to be seen, but I'll keep you guys updated. Again, the jet stream will play a major role. Of course, the European model is expecting a very significant jet stream dip, more significant than the GFS model, which is the reason why it wants to bring the snow even further northward than the GFS model, because since the slow pressure system is expected to develop earlier thanks to the higher amount of instability as a result of this more significant jet stream dip, we see that this storm would bring rain to the a lot earlier for a lot of the East Coast and move northward a lot quicker thanks to a more powerful jet stream, which is induced by this strong instability, bringing a lot more rain up along the East Coast rather than snow. But again, in the Midwest, it's inevitable at this point you will experience blizzard conditions, so make sure to pay close attention to that possibility. And as for Northeast, it seems like the heaviest of snow is staying reserved right around the interior Northeast, but definitely pay close attention over the next several days, because I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to see shifts with the computer model forecast. But I'll keep you guys updated. And even then, even let's say if the GFS model was correct, northern New Jersey should still expect snow associated with this storm, where we do see some snow as the slow pressure system enters New Jersey, where we do see heavy snow right around northern New Jersey, right around New York City metropolitan area, and of course the extreme northern portion of New Jersey could experience 6 to 12 inches of snow. Same goes for Connecticut, where you could experience, of course, 6 to 12 inches of snow with this storm, even if the current GFS computer model guidance is correct, where we do see Hartford, Connecticut get involved with right around 6 to 12 inches of snow. So make sure to pay close attention to updates over the next several days, because the scenarios are bound to change over the next several days. So I'll keep you guys updated regarding that. Now, taking a look at the North Atlantic Oscillation, we do see that we're deep in the negative phase at this point, which means that now for the rest of the mid-December and even entering late December, we should expect more jet stream dips and cooler air to move into the United States. So I'd say the chance of snowstorms are definitely more likely over the next month. So definitely keep that in mind. It's the reason why we're seeing a significant blizzard right around the Midwest, as well as that potential of a significant blizzard for Northeast, depending on how powerful that low pressure system will be. But I'll keep you guys updated regarding that. Now, taking a look at my snowfall accumulation forecast, so I have made some changes compared to yesterday's forecast. Now, I'm bringing more of the heaviest snow further northward. Of course, the computer models yesterday were leaning towards bringing the heaviest snow further southward into Pennsylvania and even into New Jersey. But now it seems like we have seen a shift with the computer models bringing that the heaviest snow further northward. But again, we're bound to see changes with the forecast over the next 4 to 5 days. So make sure, so take this forecast, of course, in the Northeast with a grain of salt. But for the Midwest, this is what you should expect when it comes to snowfall. It's pretty certain at this point, the forecast, where a large area of the northern Midwest will likely experience over a foot of snow. And there are some areas, like I said, right around South Dakota, where you could experience over 2 feet of snow. So that you need to make sure to stay indoors. Don't go out unless it's an extreme emergency, because of course you don't want to risk driving in a snowstorm that's going to dump 12 to 24 inches with snowfall rates between 2 to 3 inches per hour at times, and of course under blizzard conditions as well, under strong winds, thanks to how powerful this low pressure system will be. So make sure to stay safe. Don't drive in under these risky conditions, because it's likely going to be very dangerous. So make sure to stay indoors and take the necessary precautions regarding a blizzard, because it's going to be extreme for much of the northern Midwest. So make sure to keep that in mind. But anyways, guys, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather content, and I hope you guys have a great day.